Hello, Naughty Rank. Hello, Crafty Clan, and welcome to Financial Results Review with me, Pam Duthie, and him,
Me,
special
Brian.
guest.
Hi, everyone.
It's Brian.
We're
And
talking
compared to
numbers.
last time when he kindly joined me, he even has a working YouTube channel now, which is in the comments for you to description for you all to check out.
Sure do. Just look up Making Etsy Make Sense or Brian Support, and that's me.
Yeah, I didn't put your Facebook group in because I forgot till this very minute. So Making Etsy Make Sense on
Making Etsy Make
Facebook
Sense.
and at Brian Support on YouTube.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. I teased people. We said on the E-Rank stream that I had some graphs and charts and things. Yes.
Oh, we're going to nerd out today.
I stole Brian's chart, I have to admit, because your spreadsheet is very nice and neat. Mine shows what a disorganized mind I've got because I put in the data and then I've got formulas here and then this here and a little note to myself, and my graphs look good, but yeah,
Those are the ones
Brian's
that
the
I
one
show people. I show people the nice, clean version of everything else that's going on.
Yep, the pretty graphs.
W. Shrey says, there you go. Did Josh really use the phrase shit ton in the webinar?
I think he seemed a lot more chilled. I'll give you some sort of sneak peeks, guys. But as I was saying this to Brian before it came on air, I usually watch these investor calls and I get angry. I really hate sort of business speak where it's all like, yes, we're doing great and we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And I was like, you haven't said any words that mean anything. You've just said words. But this time, they seemed a lot more honest, like saying things like, "Oh, am I blurry?" But saying things like that it really isn't going so well, and words. It might just be me being blurry.
You're just pixelated. You're very pixelated.
Oh, okay. That could be my connection, which should be fine, but we've been hopefully it'll catch up. Sorry guys, there's nothing I can do.
Really, I'm just extremely clear, so it just seems like you're more pixelated than normal.
You're just sucking my connection away to make yourself look good. You're just
well, you use the beauty filter,
wavelength.
so I need like something to.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, blurry's good. I use so many lights actually, so they bounce off me, so you can't see all the wrinkles. And yeah, they did say low quality sellers was very much a term that was used, which, do you know, it's so weird actually. Quite a lot of the terms he was using are things that I've been saying. Now, I know they listen to my videos, but I don't think Josh listens to my videos. Yeah, I think I used all my connection with Starla. But yes, this presentation seemed a lot more honest. They seemed... Usually they're trying to gloss over it and say, okay, things sound bad, but they're not so bad. But this time, it felt like rock bottom. It was like, yes, things are bad, and here is what we're going to do. And it's like they were able to be honest enough to be able to say, here are the things what are bad, like low quality sellers.
In what context did he say low quality sellers?
Basically, there's too many sellers to buyers. He was talking about shutting down shops, making it harder to open Etsy stores.
And he's talking about like more mass-produced stuff. He's not necessarily talking about like, oh, we don't like your type of art.
No, he was another sneak peek that we will get into. But one thing that he definitely mentioned, which my ears did a proper perk up, was buyers are confused and wanting to know how handmade an item is. This was Josh's words, how handmade something is. So this is saying to me, they might be changing something here in the terms of what we've been talking about that we're looking for.
On demand.
Mm-hmm. And he's saying that there's space for all of these things, but buyers want to know what they're getting. So that what have we been talking about? How we want, sections for it to say this is actually handmade, this is produced with a production partner, this kind of thing. He didn't say what they're going to do about it, but he said this was a thing. Some other things that popped into my head. Oh yeah, again, they were talking about not wanting, when you search for something, how the front page is so the same. There's so many items that look the same, and he's wanting to stop that. This my spidey senses. I could be wrong here, but I was thinking now Etsy isn't letting you use, if you do print on demand and stuff, you can't use other people's mock-ups, only your own photos or the print on demand places photos of your item. So that was
So
kind
it's
of
a real thing.
yeah. So it was making me think, if everybody has to use the same templates, then to stand out, don't use templates, order the thing yourself and take pictures of it, which is always a good thing anyway. He didn't say there's going to be any system in place, but it did make me think, wouldn't that be a really good thing to be thinking of anyway?
I wonder if it's going to be almost like check boxes where it's like I designed it, I physically made it, like just a whole bunch of different categories, because that'll actually eliminate a lot of the AI print on demand stuff.
Absolutely,
Because I think that's
yes.
one of the big problems is I didn't design it and I'm not making it and I'm not shipping it, but it's a handmade item.
Exactly. This could be interesting. And it wouldn't be a bad thing even to categorize them. So if you want a print on demand thing that's been created by someone who is really good at AI prompts, you can go and find that, because there's some really cool looking stuff. And sometimes if somebody's put in the effort to find good quality print on demand companies and stuff, it it could be, I don't mind buying that kind of stuff, but you want to know what you're buying,
Exactly.
basically.
And that's the whole thing is transparency and disclosures. That's what needs a lot of work. And so hopefully that's the direction they're heading.
Yeah. So it sounded positive to me, Ian, that they always speak the right things, but it sounded better right things, if that makes sense. It sounded the things that we are saying, like buyers are getting annoyed that they can't figure out where to find good stuff on the site, basically.
Well, as
So
Tracy said years ago, I remember Etsy wanting to see your process or receipts to verify if you're actually handmade. Yep. Fair still
yeah,
does that. Like there's a lot of different sites that still do that. The smaller ones do. I guess Etsy just didn't have the team with the amount of sellers and products that are
yeah.
on there now to keep up. But
Yeah,
they need
it
to do
didn't it
some level of
wasn't
check.
everybody, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to have to prove who you are. And one thing that he did say that I will say here before we get into it as well, actually, he was talking about duplicate things. Like, he's saying, if your photograph is found on Alibaba by their system, which sounds like they definitely have a good system, it will automatically be taken down. You will have to appeal if Alibaba, they are aware that these places steal your photos, so you're going to have to prove that your photo was stolen.
Well, that's also the tough thing
But
because I think they're going to do that with Temu and with all the other ones. The
mhm.
problem is that number one, they can steal your stuff, and then you have to prove that you're a designer. That's easy, but you could also be the seller because I can start an AliExpress store, I can start a Temu store and sell my stuff. So I'm allowed to have it on multiple platforms, but now I have to prove that it's me.
Yeah, but I suppose they're saying there's not that many that
That are
are.
good. Yeah.
So we don't mind having to have a people process, automated process will take everything down, and the people who are doing it wrong will hopefully not even bother trying to appeal. If you're in the right, this is
Yeah.
something you have to appeal. So
Well, didn't they
um
also recently open up sellers from China? And those sellers should already be on AliExpress, one would imagine, because that's their main.
yeah, Well, see, people are going mental about this thing. Up until about 2 years ago,
It was allowed.
people from China sold on Etsy.
Yeah.
This is not new. It was just because Etsy had
Etsy
to
payments.
wanted,
Etsy payments is
yeah,
what killed most countries. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. So yeah, people are going, oh, China's coming. Chinese
Already
handmade
here.
sellers are not the problem. Yeah,
Yep.
the problem is the people who are reselling stuff from
Yes.
Temu, and that's the problem. If someone's handmaking something, fair enough. It doesn't matter what country. I've bought some
Because
wonderful.
stuff from America or stuff from the UK or stuff from wherever can be mass produced, you still can't sell it. It doesn't matter that it's made in China or made in the US. It doesn't matter. You can't resell mass produced stuff.
Exactly right. We'll dive into the numbers and the graphs and then the financial report, because I feel we're going to get muchly distracted. So firstly, as I said, I've stolen Brian's chart because well, no, because his are neat. Mine look like I have a very untidy mind. They look a bit like I'm insane. So here's just the raw numbers for anyone interested in that, which if you're here, you probably are. But yeah, basically the GMS is it gross mean sales? It's the amount
Gross
of money.
marketplace sales.
Why do I always say mean? That's because I
Because
do too much.
everywhere else, that's what it is. If you're in retail, that's what it is. But for any online marketplace, it's marketplace sales.
Go see that's why I have you here, because I make up stuff. You tell us what the real thing is. Yeah. So the GMS is how much money was made by sellers selling things, basically. Yeah. Active sellers. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. This is worldwide on Etsy. This is.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is Etsy, Reverb, and Epop,
yes,
or whatever the other two. Yeah. We only get the breakdown of only Etsy once a year, but the other two are titchy, so basically ignoring them. 9 million active sellers, allegedly. 9 million active sellers.
And when it does say sellers, they mean shops, because they do say active sellers. But if I have 3 shops, I'm 3 active sellers.
Exactly. Yes. So it's not an exact number, but it's a number. It's a very big number, and compared to 2020, it's a very
More
different number. Yeah. And actually,
also, if you look at Q1 2020, that's where you see the big jump, because on average, like 2020 hit 4.3 million by the end, but that first quarter was pre-pandemic, where it was only 2.8 million. It almost doubled during the pandemic, which is crazy, like during that first year.
Yeah, it was a big jump, but the bigger jump was in buyers, as you'll see when the graphs come up. Buyers jumped hugely, and this is always the case when there's difficult economic times, is that basically people look for extra work, or they look to become self-employed and things. So people are going, I'm a bit skint. I've heard you can make loads of money on Etsy. So we've gone from not even 3 million to 9 million. And Linda's asking, what is active? Yeah, we don't know. Just having a shop, an open shop. I have no idea. Etsy don't tell us that I've noticed.
Yeah, and they don't say if a shop has been on vacation mode for 12 years, is that considered an active shop? We believe so, but there's no way of us actually knowing.
Yeah, they're definitely removing some, because you'll see through some of the quarters there's a slight drop. But yeah, we can only go by the numbers Etsy gives us. We don't know what it really means, but it'll be whatever it is, it'll be comparable. So whatever they were counting it in 2020 should be the same as in 2024. But it's probably not how you or me would count it, but who knows? But yeah, you can see active buyers went from 47 million to 96 million. So it's a lot of people buying on Etsy too.
It's just double, but it's doubled of like it's an extra 40 whatever million.
Yeah, I mean that is a lot.
Mhm.
Well, that's more than the population of my country for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of
Are we
people.
ready for some graphs, Guy? My graphs, but Brian's data, basically. So just for this is the quarterly numbers. You've seen the yearly numbers, but this is the ratio of buyers to sellers. So you want a lot of buyers per seller because that means you've got a lot of people to sell to, basically. So
So higher is
yeah,
better on this list.
yep. And
And it is not
I know a
higher.
lot of people. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to go too geeky about graphs. I know a lot of people don't like graphs, but the stuff at the right is just now, and the stuff at the right is the lowest it's been in a very long
Ever.
time.
Since we started getting those numbers, that's the lowest that it's been.
Yeah, so the ratio's not good. And Josh did say in this presentation, the ratio is an issue. So it's good they're recognizing that. It's clearly been an issue for a couple of years, but it's not getting better. Not in any years.
Going in the wrong
Yeah,
direction.
it's still going down, basically.
Well, because there's still been growth of sellers, but buyers, the growth has kind of slowed down over the past couple of years. But sellers keep multiplying.
Yeah, and they are doing things to try and slow that down. That $15 to set up the shop. Yeah, Josh didn't even sugarcoat it. Like they were almost trying to say in the past before that was to pay for the people checking things and all this, but this time it was basically, yeah, it's a speed bump. It's to stop people opening shops that shouldn't.
We just want you to bugger off.
That was it exactly. Yep. And here we have GMS per seller. So how much money per every seller there is, which it's not as bad as the last ratio, but it is if you started in 2020.
Yeah. The only time that it was below, that a quarter was below where it currently is, was Q3 2015.
Yep.
All the other
It's the
ones are about that.
second lowest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad. I mean, yeah, what was that before? During the pandemic, we were almost at $900 per quarter per seller, which isn't a lot. I mean, you're talking an average of less than $4,000 a year, in real terms. But now we're down at nearly $300
Per quarter. So
per
that's
seller.
every 3 months. So that's an
Yeah.
average of $100 a month. That's the average on Etsy.
Yeah. So if you're making more than $100 per month, you're doing better than average. That's kind of, but we have to bear in mind that how active are these active shops. But yeah, Anna just pressed a ruler across the screen to check. I was going to draw a line on my slide, but I didn't. So, but yeah, that's already. There is lines. Yeah, it's not as clear, but yeah, we don't really need to go too in depth into the numbers because that's enough. It's
because it's depressing.
It is depressing, but hopefully Etsy.
But that could also be that there are there's a lot more shops that are opened and nothing's done with them because that's considered an active shop or an active seller, which means that is also pushing that average down a little bit. So there's a little bit of hope there, but it's nothing like those 2020 numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It is harder, there's no doubt, but the vast majority of shops are rubbish. The vast majority of sellers aren't trying to learn. They're not watching videos. They're not using tools to try and do better. They're not reading the Etsy handbook and trying to learn how to make listings that people want. So
it's like a hobby thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. It shouldn't be hard to be above the average. It feels hard sometimes, but you should all be able to get ahead of the average at least.
It
Hopefully,
just dawned on me right now. So that average of $300, that's also the threshold to get Star Seller is 300 per quarter, essentially per 3 months.
ah,
Because you need to
that's
have 5 sales
interesting.
and $300 to be
Yeah,
eligible. Interesting.
which
There's
it
probably no
definitely
correlation. It's just interesting.
no. I was going to say because when they started it, that wasn't the average, so
Yeah.
there's no correlation. But it's interesting that we managed to have dropped down to that threshold.
Yep.
So yeah, you have to be an above average shop to get a Star Seller now.
Yep.
Interesting.
Good.
I suppose so. That is what it's supposed to be, isn't it? Yeah. So sorry,
Ooh.
guys, if the stream quality isn't looking too great, but hopefully it's enough to be able to see. I don't know if it's my computer or what, but anyway.
Well,
So here are the financial.
you're still pixelated, but what's on the screen, like your screen share, is not. That still looks
Oh
sharp.
right. Oh, so it's fine. So StreamYard is prioritizing the
presentation.
everything apart from me. That's fine. I don't mind. That's showing up okay then. So I have made some notes as well, but we'll try and looks blurry on my end as well. But I thought this was really telling. They every time they have this little thing telling you what the numbers were, but it's this at the left hand side saying it was a bit of a disappointment. I don't think they've ever said that quite so loud.
Which again is a good thing. Like they're finally being honest.
Yeah, and I tried to look at what this did to the share price, but it looks like the shares are glitching just now. They were showing 0 when I looked, so I don't think Eatsy's not
They're
a
done.
penny stock quite yet. I think there was an issue there, so I couldn't tell you what it did to the shares. But it's been tough. Interestingly, Etsy said part of the problem was Easter being early, because Easter's not a very good holiday time and a holiday sales time, and a lot of people go away on spring break, so they're not buying. So that was
fair.
That's part of what caused it. I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, that was cool. So yeah, product development and marketing investment, improving customer experience. What he did say at one point, now all the teams have changed and everything. What Etsy are planning to do? Well, firstly, they did say they've made significantly more tests than usual, and tests per. That's my Heaton making a noise. You don't need to come on just now, Heaton. You know, even though they've cut the number of people working for them, they've laid off so many people, they're more tests per employee and stuff. They're real proud of that. But what they've said is they're talking about changes they're planning to make. They're planning to make big changes, like not chip away at things, but big things like gift mode and stuff like this, which is interesting. There's some things in the pipeline that he's aware that are coming. They were basically talking along the lines of Q2 is not going to be good, but all the new changes are going to build up, and Q3 and Q4 should be, kind of thing. So
and that's
there's
what
some
we're in
stuff
right now. We're in testing season. Right up
Yep.
until September is testing season, where we're just going to see a whole bunch of them throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And if Josh thinks that there's some big things coming, then should be interesting.
Yeah, he definitely said Q3 and Q4 to be bold was his words. Don't know what that means. Don't know if that's scary.
I hope they're not
some
just going to
people
Etsy with or eBay with that, because eBay has you can have your title bold. So I'm hoping he's not just hinting at that. We'll make your title bold for an extra 50 cents.
No, I think it's gonna be more scary than that. In the Q&A in the Q&A, they mentioned the loyalty program because they brought this up in the last quarterly report, and we've not heard anything of it. They didn't mention it a whole lot. Just basically, it's gonna be a loyalty program to bring back occasional buyers. So don't know what it'll be. It's like buy 3 things and get a tenner off or something. No idea. But so they
They've
mentioned
been
it
doing a
again,
lot
but
more of the coupons, like they just did the UK £5 off or £30 order. They're probably going to be doing something more like that more often for people with previous purchases, almost like a thank you offer that we can offer. They're probably going to have more of those as well.
absolutely. Yep. And yes, so consideration, making people come to Etsy more often. Quality, find the good stuff on Etsy. So we mentioned about not wanting the front page of search to all look the same, letting people know potentially how handmade something is. The other thing he did mention in the Q&A, which was really fascinating, because people are bringing this up all the time. They say, oh, Etsy will never get rid of these people that shouldn't be there because they're making the money. He said, and it's very true, but it was funny that he said it out loud, was almost every listing that they take down, there's a replacement out there that the customer can buy. Not the exact same thing, but whatever the customer's looking for, they don't care about shutting down these because the customer's still going to buy something.
True.
It was interesting for him to say it out loud.
Or they're just going to start a second site called Etsy Bay and push all of those like mass market people over there, and then keep Etsy handmade. Come on,
cool.
That's a great idea.
Oh, something I don't think I've heard before. They're talking about machine learning and everything for gift mode to figure out the personas of giftable people. Do you know how they did it? They used
No.
ChatGPT. Well, they used large language models.
Interesting.
Not ChatGPT necessarily, but they used large language models to figure out the gifting personas.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but it does show all the big companies are using these things,
AI.
and I've actually, I'll probably actually do a live stream about it sometime. People were asking me to show how to use, what prompts to write for them, because that video I did with your shop and everyone else's shop in it, where Chatty was critiquing your description, your shop elevator pitch, that's the one. And people were saying, how did you do that? And it's literally, you just chat to them. You literally say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, what should I do? And it comes back to you and you go, no, that's a bit rubbish, can you do it like this? You chat to them like an assistant that you don't care about at all. So,
you're not nice to Chatty? That's not very nice of you.
I start off saying please and thank you, and by the end of it, I know when the robot revolution happens, I'm in danger. So
I even
I
thank
don't
Google
speak.
Home for turning on my lights. Like, gotta be nice
Oh,
to
I
the
used
baby.
to tease my mum for that when she was using like Alexa and stuff. I'd be like, Alexa, can you? Thank you.
They always say thank you, and it always has like a nice quip. It's nice. Not a problem. Always here to help.
Oh, they're training you to be nice. That's interesting. You get rewarded for being nice.
Can I have my cookie now? I did the thing. I was polite.
That's scary. So we're teaching machines, and then machines are training us back again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is actually a good
No.
thing, because a lot of kids are now growing up in the generation with those in the house. So it's nice that they're learning to be polite.
That's true. That is true. Yep. Obviously they were talking a whole lot about the gift mode. This is Etsy's big thing. Love it or hate it. I mean, I think it's a good idea. They did say I was going to say, I was going to paraphrase for him, but no, they did say they had the idea for this and got this out in about 4 months. So it's it's not finished.
It's not
Is
for
probably the
sure.
nicest.
The idea of it is absolutely amazing. It's just I haven't had success with it.
Yeah. I think it doesn't work how you expect it to. Like the gift personas isn't an awful idea, but when they're saying who's it for, what occasion, what are their hobbies, you would want it to pull up a persona that pulled all this into one thing, whereas it doesn't. It goes, oh, for someone who likes fishing, oh, for the thing, and it's all individual things. Whereas, yeah, I think if they're asking all the questions, it should be smart enough to go away and come back with things that work entirely for the
For
answers.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, not just cheese for French people. That's
I'm hoping that's where
still,
it does end up. Like it might not be perfect yet, but they're definitely working on it. So hopefully that means that it will be getting better and smarter with that kind of thing, with multiple prompts
yeah,
instead of just, oh, they're a football fan. Here's a football thing. Oh, and they also like food. Okay, here's something different. It's like, well, combine them. Show us wings. If they're a football fan and they like food, then show us wings. Like it'll eventually get to that point, but it's not quite there yet.
exactly. And I think this is something actually the large language models could do quite well with.
Yep.
What if someone's into this and this? Where do these interests combine? I think that would be cool. Yeah. For everyone who missed it, I think I did it in the news like last week or something. This was the announcement that Etsy brought out is the gift mode. They're now given the option for video messages for the purchaser to be able to send it to the person who's bought it to say, hey, happy birthday. Here's a thing that's coming from Etsy.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. And there's the new Etsy ad, which I'm not hating, which is it's what they're pushing on is for to be able to send a gift and send a message to say this is the thing that's coming because I was late and not able to buy it to get it to you on time, kind of thing. So hopefully that should be helpful for us sellers as well, that people aren't going, I need this by Christmas, what's happening? They're saying, I know I'm late, but hey, I can send this message so they know what they're getting, kind of thing.
It'll add the ability for those last minute shoppers instead of just like you have to think 2 months in advance. No,
Yep.
I think that'll definitely be a great thing for sellers.
I think so. They say, yeah, this is suppress and remove listings that violate Etsy policies. They're very proud that they've managed to remove a higher number of listings than ever before. And it's going to catch people who are innocent. That's the problem with these systems. So just
always
be
going to be false
aware
red
if you
flags.
yeah, any of these systems are always going to be the case, but it sounds like Etsy is wanting their system to be harsher and then the good people appeal. So don't feel too terrible if it happens to you. Just if you know your listing's correct, go back and shout at them. Like lots of people are getting their listings taken down.
And that's also how they train their systems, is by it's like a spam filter essentially, where everything will go to spam and then you just have to click on not spam and then it'll start to not go to your spam folder. So it's kind of training it that way. So when you say this is actually a valid listing, they look at it and go, okay, that is a valid listing. That's putting a positive flag to it. So more people won't get caught up with that same issue.
Yeah, that's how robots are trained, isn't it? You go, good robot, that was a right one to take down. Bad robot, not that one, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And yes, it is interesting that elevate better quality listings in search and recommendation. He was talking about better quality being, now we know things like reviews count in where you're ranking, but it definitely gave the feel that it's going to be even more so. Listings that people interact well with, listings that sell well and get lots of good reviews are better quality shops. And he did say shipping on time. That was mentioned, which doesn't count against you just now, but might. But that shouldn't make a difference for any of us. We should all be doing our best to be good to our customers. But yeah.
And they happen to show a picture there with an Etsy's pick badge. So it might be anything with a badge might just rank higher. So bestseller badge, Etsy pick, whatever the other badges are at the moment, that might actually elevate you in search as well.
Well, the Etsy pick, they told us 2 reviews ago that they're using the Etsy pick to train the bot. So they've taken on extra staff to pick things, and then they're going, this is the kind of things that people pick. So if you've got an Etsy pick badge, then some staff have thought that your listing looks like the kind of thing that they want to be on Etsy, and that's got fed to the robot to say this is a good thing. And it's certainly, there's a lot of pages, like when you click through some of the call to actions on the front page, you'll get taken to a page that's filtered by Etsy pick. So that's a way they're making it so that people don't see low quality things on pages, because the Etsy pick things have already been picked as not being rubbish items, hopefully.
Ideally.
Yeah, I mean, the staff are obviously going to be fallible as well. So, yeah. But yes, it's interesting. The curate and organizing thing, very much they are talking about trying to more often show people the stuff that's the good stuff. That's their focus just now. So how well it works, but that's what we've been asking for. So it's good that's where they're focusing.
Yep. Yes, that's it.
And they do it's right, whether you agree that they're doing it or not. The whole keep Etsy human and showing the point of difference is a good thing. I have to cut them some slack a little bit. See, I'm much more positive today. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I've said in the past, like when they're talking about the race to the bottom and Etsy not wanting to be that, and it really annoys me how they're pushing so many sales and things. But I suppose they're saying that they are seeing that is what the market is wanting, not just because it's what trained them, but it's because what they're looking for on Amazon, it's what they're looking for on Temu and stuff. But they're wanting to stand out and say, we're not the cheap tat like Temu. We're going to take that cheap tat off the site. We're something different.
But it's
So
also,
it's difficult.
they never really acknowledged these kinds of things before, and that's huge. Like where they actually said they want to reestablish themselves as that homemade, like, and they've never acknowledged and said, yeah, we're kind of slipping with this kind of thing. Now they're finally saying, hey, we realize that we screwed up somewhere and we need to reestablish how we differ from everything else. So hopefully that's
you're so right. Reestablished is saying that, isn't it? It's saying we messed up.
Yep.
So it was, I felt it was such a different tone, which is, I don't know why I'm more positive when people say they screw up rather than all that, but it feels like they've been listening to what we're saying. Whether moving forwards everything works like that, but it sounds more positive from my point of view.
Well, like Starla just said, it's change that we've always wanted, and change takes time. So like they had to acknowledge it, but they also didn't want to acknowledge it before they had a route to change. And so now they seem to be more open to that. So should be good.
I suppose very much. If you know something's wrong, that's fair enough. But if you can pinpoint exactly the things that are wrong, which is what we've been talking about, what Starla was talking about in the Keep Etsy human type thing and everything, they seem to be understanding what it is that they've done wrong. So that's the first step to making it better. So.
And they're being transparent about knowing, because they've definitely known there was an issue. They've definitely known that it's not handmade, and they've known all these things. They're being transparent about that now. They're actually being open about it now. Communication is key. Even when it's a big company talking to the sellers that are using it, communication is extremely important. And that's what they seem to actually be doing now, communicating how they actually understand where they are.
Yeah, and this is the investors report. This is not them speaking to us as sellers. This is, so it's kind of cool, because this is what we were speaking about, is the long-term thing, you know, that Etsy can't be looking at making the money quickly right now for the investors. So they're talking about things that are going to take time. They're saying things are bad just now, and we're going to have to do big things that will make Etsy good in 5 years, kind of thing.
Which is generally not something
Hopefully.
investors like to hear. So the fact that they're saying that out loud is huge.
Yeah.
Saying
I
that
mean,
out
I
loud
think
to those investors.
yes, I'd be happy if to come away from this if the share price has dropped or everything for a little while, because
Yep.
I think it's you're ripping the band-aid, sort of rock bottom type thing. You can only get better if you're brave enough to do this. So I don't want to sound too
Also, if
positive.
the share prices drop, that means that Etsy can afford to buy back the shares, which means they don't have to try and appease the shareholders as much.
Genius. Yay. Kill your brand so you can buy back the shares and you can get rid of the people that make it more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you own the brand and can do what you want without anyone else telling you what to do.
It would be nice not to have the shareholders. The thing here, I think, that people won't like is the machine learning model aimed at reducing their estimated USPS transit time has meant that they've been able to tell customers that it will be delivered sooner. So, yeah, I get messages every single day saying, I've just posted an item to my buyer and I've posted it well within my processing time, and it's telling me that it's going to be late.
Yeah.
Yep, that's because Etsy estimated it. I get why they want to be able to say to the customer, this is when it will be there. However, well, if Starla's still here, do you remember when we did the E-Rank surveys? We've done 3 of them now, and we always asked people how long they were happy to wait for something from Etsy. And I vaguely remember it was more than 50% of people are happy to wait more than 7 days on Etsy. I can't remember. It might be even more. I can't remember the numbers.
You said yes.
But that. Yep. So I think I get why Etsy's been doing all of this, but it's not pushing its point of difference to say you're getting something made especially for you. It might take 10 days.
Yep.
Deal with it. So yeah, I think that's possibly not that's again trying to compete with Amazon and stuff, which we sort of have to not do because we're not Amazon.
Well, it's not only that, it's competing with Amazon, Amazon fulfillment by Amazon, like FBA versus sell it, because I sell on Amazon as well. But I still ship myself, which means it's still that same processing time and same delivery times as it is on Etsy. But they're trying to compete with, like, it's in a warehouse in an Amazon, like an Amazon's warehouse, so it could get to you on the same day. And that's just not realistic.
We can't compete with that, and we shouldn't compete with that. So, yeah, I think that's a misstep. But at the same time,
else you buy from, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can. Yeah.
Anywhere else you buy from is not going to give you that same guarantee that Amazon's going to give you. If you're buying a shirt from some company, or you're buying a computer part, or you're buying just anything, you're not going to get that same day service as you do from Amazon's warehouse, because that's just not how life works. They just happen to have this massive distribution network that no one else has access to. Or I guess you could access it. But yeah.
They're a totally different beast. We can't compete with Amazon. Etsy could never compete with Amazon. My chair dying again. And it doesn't want to. Like, most of us couldn't have our items fulfilled by Amazon or whatever else, because that involves sending it to their warehouse.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you can
And
see
there's extra
behind me,
costs built onto that for the seller. There's costs
yeah,
for warehouse stores. There's costs for all of the shipping materials, which is a lot higher than if you were to buy them yourself. And there's just a lot of costs, and that's why we don't do it too. It's not worth it.
yeah,
But
well,
Starla had actually said earlier, humans cannot moderate 9 million sellers
mhm,
when it comes to just the customer service and stuff. And what's to add to that, they also can't moderate 96 million buyers.
yeah,
So she ended that with saying Etsy needs to follow the cadence of reprogramming buyer expectations, which they've done the opposite of. The problem is they're talking to 96 million buyers, and they don't have the customer service deal with them or us, and that's why
yeah,
the choice went to buyers. But they're still not helping. They're still not helping anything.
yeah. Buyers are important, and definitely the talk from this is, the focus is on buyers, as it should be. I'm sure we're all happy with that. There are too many sellers. They are happy with and want to work on training sellers to be better quality with all the things, the tools they're giving us in our dashboard and the training things that they're doing, because they want the good people to be able to know how to sell good.
Exactly.
Amazing grammar, but so hopefully there'll still be some more training events and things, and hopefully they can do them well, and not contradict what's in the handbook in their own training events. I still haven't got answers about that yet. So, Etsy, if you're watching me, thank you for using my language for what we've been talking about. But yeah,
There's quite a few articles that are like a few years old, but they're still there, even though things are vastly different than in the handbook. It's tough.
yes, exactly. Yes. So this bit here, he was talking about pushing people to the app. Yes and no. Purchase days per app user are 75% higher than non-app user. See, 75% sounds good, but I think they've only, like, you're talking maybe some people will buy 3 times a year and some people will buy 4 times a year. So it's good. I was looking at things over the Christmas period, surveys just talking about retail in general, and people buying on a PC spend more money than buying on a phone. They'll buy bigger ticket items. So
Yeah.
I think there's a push in both directions. It's both good.
What's weird is on the financial summary, they actually didn't include mobile this year or this quarter. Usually they do. In the fourth quarter of last year, there was 68% were sales on mobile. It doesn't tell you users. It just says 68% more money came in from mobile
Oh,
than desktop. But on this financial summary in this quarter, it's not included.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if it's the 65% of actual money, because I was going to say that could be of like purchases,
Yeah.
but if people are buying lower price, but yeah, 65% of money is a big number, absolutely.
Yep. Wow.
Here's the ridiculous numbers again. I I can't even imagine what billions look like, really.
$3 billion. Billion that and Etsy well, they don't process all that, but they're processing most of that because it's all through Etsy payments now. There's still some that
Oh,
go through PayPal, or like what certain countries have different payment systems, but most of that is going through Etsy's payment gateways. And that's why there's some, like, they didn't have that before, so that's another huge thing that they have to deal with that they didn't before. So there's a lot of staff dedicated to dealing with payments from buyers to sellers, withdrawals, and all of the other things that come with basically being a bank.
yeah, they have to deal with it, but they're also making money off of it.
Yeah,
So
they
quite a
sure
bit
are.
of money. So that's that's more revenue for them. So that's good.
Yep.
And which we can see, 3.7% down year on year in gross sales, but revenue is still slightly up. They never even made a big deal of that. That's a surprise. Because growth.
Yeah.
If you're trying to spin something to sound good. Yeah, and EBITDA's earnings before taxes.
Yeah.
That's numbers I don't bother about.
Those don't impact us as much.
Exactly. This was the other person, I've forgotten her name, that does this part of the presentation. So it's more about there's less juicy nuggets here. She's more about investor money. So yeah, you can see marketplace headcounts and product development and things. So this to support their vital few priorities. So this is something they spoke about last quarter as well. It's kind of consolidating, putting everything into big things like the big game ad stuff, focusing on a few things, which is fair enough. I sort of feel sorry for them slightly. They were talking about the big game thing as their vital few because advertising was too dear because Timo was ahead of them with everything. How many ads did Timo put into the big game to Eatsy's one?
Right.
Yeah, so it's a shame, but at the same time, Timu's advertising is not sustainable. It's a thing it's like what Amazon did. It's throw money at stuff and the hope that the competition will fall away. So
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, they're talking more ads in the UK and America at the minute, TV ads, which is interesting. Didn't know anybody still did TV ads.
Did not know TV still existed.
Nope, I only watch it when my mum's about. I've not watched telly in ages. Oh yeah, this was comparing to other places that aren't Etsy. So that's what this e-commerce that's not Etsy, basically everything's down. The only thing that was interesting, this is not Etsy, but craft supplies for e-commerce is up. It's not up on Etsy, but it's up on the internet as a whole. Yes, which makes sense. Again, when people are a bit skint, they look to start a business, so they need to buy the supplies to run the business. So it's always when times are difficult, look to sell the shovels to the gold miners. Don't be the gold miner, basically. That's
pretty much.
There was mentions, which is fair enough. They're seeing, I'm sure we're all seeing, people are spending less on fancy goods. They're buying things they need.
Luxury,
and that means
in times of financial uncertainty, luxuries are the first thing to go.
Yep. And it also makes sense. Like if you're going to Amazon to buy your loo roll, which we know from E-Rank stats that they're buying loo roll. If you're going to Amazon to buy these things already, you might throw in the treat when you're in Amazon. So other places that sell, they mentioned it so much, it's making me wonder if they're thinking of doing something, but they didn't say anything. I hope not. But it's certainly saying that people are spending less on luxury things. They did say, as we've known for a while, poor people are getting poorer and spending less. Rich people are getting richer. So my take from that, apart from boo, is to maybe don't worry about having really high-end stuff in your shop because the rich people have the money to buy it. So that's, sometimes we race to the bottom having stuff, but there are people out there that have got money to spend. So high end is not necessarily a bad thing if you can afford to do it. That's something I always talk to, like, my mum does knitting, and she's always found you can't compete with cheap knitwear because people can do it in China for cheap.
Yeah.
But, like, she visited my sister in New Zealand, went to the spinner that created the wool for Gandalf's cloak and made some clothes from that. You know? We visited an alpaca farm and we met the alpacas and we saw the vet come into them and saw the land they were on, and she bought the fleece from the alpacas. It's, you can, people want to buy that because it's cool. That's much better than buying the cheapest yarn and trying to sell it for the cheapest price.
That's true. Well, that's the thing. Even in times of uncertainty, Gucci and Rolex and all those big companies, they still do amazing because those people are still buying. Everyone else has to keep lowering their price and fight for the bottom. As handmade sellers, we shouldn't be trying to fight for the bottom.
Exactly.
Yes.
And this is how Etsy compares, and everything was down a wee bit, but we know this.
Anna actually said, "Holy moly, I'd love to see the billions broken down by category, product type." This is kind of what this slide is doing, where it's showing that it's kind of breaking it down to home and living, jewelry, accessories, and showing what areas of Etsy made the most, essentially. And it seems like home and living is way up.
Yeah, 35% of the GMS goes to home and living, which is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Toys and games is that low. I was not expecting that.
It's not really something I see much of. There are some amazing toy makers.
You don't have a child. So you're not
well, yeah, but I do see quite a lot of shops every day.
Fair.
I'm intrigued that apparel's so low with the number of t-shirts that's
true.
Etsy.
How is home and living that much higher than print on demand shirts? That's actually that's true.
Yeah, you would have thought it was the t-shirts.
Yeah.
I suppose you only need to sell a few hand-carved tables to it compared to every t-shirt.
That's true. Because that's based on GMS, not necessarily items sold.
Exactly. Growth of active buyers is a bright spot. So yeah, fair enough. It is at record levels of buyers on Etsy. The problem is sellers is record as well. And there are more of them, but as we've seen from the graphs at the start, and as Etsy's saying here, they are spending less. But
they're spending less, and the ratio is way off as far as buyers to sellers.
Exactly. Yes. And another interesting thing, because they've got these metrics for repeat buyers, habitual buyers, and everything else. They've seen the slide in habitual buyers because a number of people who would have been habitual buyers are spending less, so coming to Etsy less, so they've dropped down to the repeat buyers, which kind of makes sense. But there's nothing much.
I've been seeing that a lot in my shop recently. For the past few months, repeat buyers has been through the roof, and new buyers, it's a lot harder to find new buyers, but getting that repeat business, that seems to be where it's at. So keep pushing for that repeat business because that's up.
Oh yeah, and it's good for all of us if we can get people to come back. Like a buyer that keeps coming back to you is someone you're not paying for advertising for. It's you can hopefully even use your share and save links, so they're cheaper for us too.
I think it's also because people are spending less, which means they're a lot more cautious where they're spending. If they've already bought from you, so they already trust your brand, they already know what they're getting, that's more where they're going to spend their money than somewhere that's like, I hope this is as good as what I already know. So that's why repeat business is up. Yay. Yeah,
not just the lack of money there, but that is something we spoke about, is the lack of trust.
Yep.
What are Etsy shops? I mean, how many videos are we seeing? How many people are saying to us, Etsy is a scam place, Etsy has rubbish in it? So yeah, that is something as sellers we have to stand out and keep our own customers and be okay. Maybe you don't want to buy on the rest of Etsy, but come to me because I'm good.
So once you get a customer, sink your teeth in, because
Yeah, keep a hold of them. They're a rare species. Yes. Yeah, I don't know that anybody has anything to do with Reverb and Depop. They've removed selling fees in the UK on Depop, so they're trying to push that. But yeah, it's cool, but it's not Etsy. And more about their balance sheet and stuff. I think I'll go through. I wrote down the Q&As, which are always the more interesting. But yeah, I think we've had all the numbers and everything because we've been here an hour. So, yeah. And also, I'm absolutely missing all of chat. So yeah. Yeah. So the Q&A.
There's actually a good one down.
I missed.
Yeah, if you scroll down past the appendix, I love this stat at least. If you scroll down, just past the appendix, it's like 3 slides down. So not that one, the one right after that one there. So it shows the new buyers and the reactivated buyers. Just
right,
up from that one. Yeah. So it shows you the new buyers, but then reactivated buyers is also way up. So people that kind of weren't shopping on Etsy for a while, they have been coming back. So it's very possible that they started seeing what was happening with the marketplace and how it was just filled with crap and all that type of stuff. And now they're kind of giving it another try. So that's a positive thing.
Did say last quarter that was something they were wanting to focus on. So that's good that seems to be working. So I think they've been, little mail outs and stuff. Although
they might have been doing an email campaign to old buyers or something just to say, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. And that seems to be bringing people back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the Q&A, first question was asking, are the Chinese competitors, is this continuing to be an issue? And this is where Josh really went into Etsy. People are wary of cheap rubbish on Etsy. I thought this was very honest. And Etsy don't want a chase to the bottom. They are planning a beta launch of their loyalty program in Q3. This is to turn occasional buyers into more regular buyers. So that's all we know about it, but at least he mentioned something about it. But yeah, very interesting that they're really aware of how bad the impression people have of Etsy. So that's good. And then I already mentioned Q1 was rubbish. Q2 is not looking good, is what they said. I think we guessed that with the sale and stuff. They're hoping due to the stuff that's going to be happening in the next few months, Q3 and 4, it'll build up and should be better. But yeah, I think that's something to say. Q1's been bad and Q2's not looking good. You see what I mean? This was a very honest stream.
Which, I mean, anytime there's any restructuring of any sort, there's going to be downfall. And so that might just be what they're putting out there so that people don't freak out when it does happen. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Then again, I'm looking at the previous years, that table that I had with all the quarters. Q2 tends to always be lower than Q1.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of that is people have gift cards and people are doing all those different things post holiday. But if you look at Q2, other than 2020, which was when the pandemic actually started, every other year, Q2 has been lower than Q1.
Yeah, I've always felt that in my shop, especially if you had a really good Christmas. January, February tended to be okay,
Yeah.
and then it's a sort of fall away, and the forums start blowing up, and everyone's going, "Oh, it's sorry if you can hear my
Why did
chair.
my
It's getting
sales
worse.
stop? What happened? What did I do?
Yeah. What has Etsy done?" It's like
Yep.
nothing.
Nothing. That's just normal
Yeah.
shopping habits, and that's why we're getting a lot of testing of hopefully a lot of good things.
Hopefully, yes. Oh yeah, and here was the question: sellers outgrowing buyers is an issue. Etsy doesn't like, in Josh's word, low effort sellers, want to increase the skilled sellers. So yeah, the $15 to set up a shop was to reduce sellers joining, and they plan, again, his words, really interesting, to suppress low quality items. So suppressing is really, it does sound like you're going to be more penalized in the algorithm for things they don't like, basically, which
Well,
shouldn't.
well, that's the question: is it just going to be suppression, as in the listing's going to rank lower in search results, or does that mean that they're going to start like killing listings, which would also be a positive thing?
Yeah, it's all positive, but it's a vague thing, and
Yeah.
we know that some of us are going to get caught in this thing. But it is interesting that his exact words were they're planning to suppress low quality items, and he did mention at a different place that quality is the photograph, the reviews, if it's shipped on time, stuff like that. So
Okay.
it should be stuff that we're all doing good, anyway. And also this, they don't want the first page of search to all look the same. They really want to highlight diversity. They mentioned this before. Last quarter, he talked about almost collapsing things. So if there was a lot of things that were the same, it sounded like you
Group
could,
them.
like in Amazon, you get a see more, sort of there's this and there's more of these items. So only one of a certain thing gets shown. Don't know how it's going to work.
It'll be interesting for
You're doing
handmade
nothing.
items.
Well, hopefully it should be, because all our items are diverse.
Yeah.
If it's handmade, unless, like me, you're reusing some pictures that I maybe should stop doing. But it definitely is saying to me, try and don't make your listings the same as other people's. I don't know if that's going to be photographs. I mean, definitely he's saying if he sees them on Alibaba, they're getting shut down. But, a lot of people using the same photograph. But I wonder, like, people copying tags and titles, are they going to see that similar as well? It'd be cool if they were. Like,
Hopefully,
you're
because I have
copying
seen
them.
shops that literally copy them completely. Like, just take my listings and
Exactly.
duplicate the titles and tags, and it's just like, yeah, you're not doing well with that, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's it. It isn't good anyway, but it would be even better if Etsy just went, well, Brian's the OG shop there, so we'll show his, and people have to go through 6 or 7 different clicks to find the other people.
Yep. And Bazaar Box, woo woo. Sure am.
Oh yeah, there's dimension of quality here, and I'm remembering things and then reading what I read down. Yes. So how they're judging quality. If you ship late, you'll rank lower. The search engine to be not just focused on relevance, but quality to be put in. And another way they're looking at quality is not things not needing to be refunded. So you know how Etsy's doing the seller purchase protection thing. Obviously, if they're keeping having, if your listing's problematic, that makes sense.
Yep.
It is actually going to start hurting. Obviously, things happen and things need refunded, but yeah, it makes sense if shops are constantly being refunded, then Etsy
But if
should be looking
most
at
of your
them going,
products are getting damaged or most of your products are getting lost in shipping, they're going to start kind of being like,
absolutely.
oh, maybe it's you.
Yep. Yeah, that when we're talking about how handmade is something, what he mentioned, letting the customer know how much value did the seller add to the item. So what did you physically do to it? What did you design? Who you were working with and stuff? That's again an interesting way to word it. How much value you added to it. But if you're handmade, you added lots of value to it.
One would assume.
And yeah, I said that already. Is like Etsy is happy to remove high selling, low quality items because there are always other options. So yeah, Etsy. There's the myth going about forever that Etsy's going to do nothing about these things because it's making them money. Nah, Etsy doesn't care. It's got millions, millions of replacements in the backup that the customer can buy. It did say that the number of listings it's removed has caused some dip in revenue, but they don't care because they think in the long term it improves the perception of Etsy. Exactly. So that was a good thing.
Of course, they'll never reveal those numbers, tell us how many shops or how many listings they've nixed, but it's enough that he mentioned it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all from the Q&A. I just saw the last thing there was Etsy used large language models to set up the gift mode. I found that tickled me.
I mean, it must have been something like that, but I would not assume that they went with OpenAI to do that. I thought it was just like, basically, if you choose football and you choose food, let's find listings with tags with both football and food in them. But apparently they went.
No, they were using it, not for how to pick it. Obviously, that needs work. Right. They were using it for, the personas. So you've got,
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool. I like that he said that's how they did it. It's a very, very honest thing to do. And it like we're not going to lose our jobs to AI. We're going to lose our jobs to people who are using AI. So get on there and start chatting to Chatty and say please and thank you, like Brian says. Don't be like me.
And just play around. There's literally nothing you can do that's wrong. So just get on there and play around. Ask it random questions. Just ask it to define random things just to see what kind of results you get, because AI is kind of here to stay. And if you don't and if you don't find out how you can use it as a tool for your business, then you will end up falling behind.
Yeah, I found it so helpful for if you're running your own business, you're usually quite isolated. It's really good for me to have Brian on the stream so we can talk about things and bounce ideas off each other. But if you don't have that, you can do that in a way with AI, because you can say, hey, I'm thinking of this. What do you think? How should I do this? Can you give me some ideas? And it'll come back and you'll go, hey, that's cool, but can you expand on that? And just chat to it like it's Brian. Chat to it and it will come up with some good answers. And it doesn't insult you or anything.
I will do that. Chatty will not.
Exactly. She's good.
but it's even for things that you don't even think about. Like if you have a product, if you have a little duck and you're like, how do I take a proper photo of this? Just ask the AI. Say, this is my product. What are some tips for photos that I can do to make this really shine? And it'll actually tell you how to take a good photo of it.
Yeah. I could be also in the stream with Starla just earlier, we were looking at someone's shop that was doing like autism templates, check sheets and things. Not only can you come up with ideas, but we were talking about doing like TikTok videos. You can ask, hey, Chatty, what could be a funny skit for this kind of thing? And it can come up with ideas for that.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many ways that you could use it to your advantage. And again, your competition is. So you might as well hop in there as well. And there's nothing you can do to screw up. There's nothing you can do to like get a wrong answer. So anything you get is good. Just try it.
Yeah, I think, the only thing is don't use it just wholesale.
Yeah.
write me a listing and copy and paste.
See it as more of a
you are the,
friend, someone that you're talking
yeah,
to, the way that you would talk to, you're on the side, someone like you would talk to someone and say, hey, what do you think of this? That's literally what it is. You wouldn't necessarily use everything for verbatim, because that's just not a good way to do anything. You would take it and put it in your own voice. You would take ideas from it and expand on the ideas that it give you. It's an amazing thing to do. It's an amazing tool. The fact that we have
it is.
access to it is crazy.
I know, for free. Come
Yeah.
on. That's great. There was just an update to Google algorithm. By the way, I think I sent you the link, Brian, but latest update to Google is looking at suppressing low value AI content.
Yep.
It's not talking about, it doesn't know that it's AI, but we all know, we've all gone to websites and it starts off sounding good and you get to the bottom and it's like, that doesn't even make sense. Or that's completely, that's hallucinated again. So you have to go in and make sure that Chatty's not speaking rubbish, because the more she talks, the more nonsense can come out sometimes. So.
And the more it could all just start sounding exactly the same as everything else.
Yeah, that is the problem with any of these sort of AIs. We think they're not really AIs. It's a large language model, which means it's been trained on what people say and it's trying to predict what someone would say. So it's like the average of people, which is why a lot of them have struggled and they've had to go in and train them, because they get quite abusive because it probably read a whole lot of Reddit or something. It got rude after a while.
But it's the same way that you have the accent that you have and I have the accent that I have, because it's where you grew up. It's how you were trained. It's what you heard. So that's what you mimicked. That's exactly what AI does. It's just given a whole lot of information and then it extrapolates from it. That's how humans learn. AI just does it faster.
Exactly. It's not inventing anything. I think it needs a human touch. Yeah. See you, Starla. It was great to have you here, Starla. And sorry to everyone, I've been missing most of the chat. I'm catching it now. I'm awful at multitasking.
I've been trying to kind of pull their thoughts in.
Cool. That's appreciate you having you here even more so, because seriously, these streams are so difficult to do myself. It's so much easier to have Brian to politely tell me I'm speaking rubbish. So.
AI, what a tool. But so like, you will see a drop in Etsy. Etsy knows for the next few months you will likely see a drop in Etsy. You'll likely see a drop in sales, possibly a drop in traffic, and they have foretold that.
Yeah, well, it always is. It's always difficult for most shops up until October.
Yeah,
to be
it depends. It depends on what you're selling. If you're selling back to school stuff, then July, August is going to be great for you. If you're selling, I don't even, sweaters, then it's probably not going to be that great, unless you're in Australia.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's probably not going to be that great. So a lot of it will depend on what you're selling. If you're hitting any holidays, like if you have Mother's Day items, then now is probably a really good time for you. But if you're selling something that's not Mother's Day items, it's probably not going to be that great. So it's going to be kind of very hit and miss. A lot of it will depend on what you're selling, but most sellers will be down until September, October, when the real shopping season starts. And that's what they're foretelling as well. They're kind of tamping expectations and saying, hey, it's going to be low for a bit.
Tough.
Yeah.
And I think, we should all be ready. We should have all realized this anyway. It's tough. So now is the time to look at what you're doing. Social media, build your brand, get yourself noticed, get your return customers. We can't rely on Etsy for everything to do with our shops.
They're
and
just a marketplace,
be ready
but
to
they
adapt.
are a giant mall. Like Etsy is a giant mall with lots of sellers, but the mall can't just rely on Etsy. They still have to do their own ads. They still have to do their own marketing. They still have to make sure that people are coming to them when they come to the mall. And that's essentially what you're doing with social media. That's what you're doing with everything else that you're putting out into the world.
Absolutely. I'd say my take from this is if you're selling the same as everybody else, stop it right now. If you're selling stuff you shouldn't be, stop it, because they are going to be getting harder and harder. If you can, try and add as much value as you can to your items. If you're print on demand, make sure and make videos of how you design it and stuff, show what you're doing. And if possible, order some things and take pictures of how good your stuff is. Take your own pictures. I think
I mean, generally
that's
with print on demand, you should be doing that anyways. You like,
yeah,
even if it's just a couple of your items, just to see the quality that your customers are getting, because you want to know what they're getting. So you want to feel it. You want to be able to describe it in a way that they're going to experience. So it's always
yeah,
best to have the products in your hand, even if it's print on demand.
absolutely. I'm hoping this change is going to mean, because so many people come up and start and drop 200 listings all at once, and they haven't seen them, they haven't checked the quality,
Yeah.
they've not worked for it. So I'm hoping changes are going to favor, like, print on demand is a good thing when done right. If they favor the people that are doing it right, that it's going to be a bit slower because you have to design things and check the quality. See how the prints work. Some of your designs might not print so good as you think they do on certain things.
Yeah, on certain, like even on certain t-shirts, there's a reason that there's like the $3 t-shirts and the $20 t-shirts, and it's because the quality of the product and the quality that the ink works on that product, and it just makes a huge difference. And that's why getting in your hands is very important.
Absolutely. And yeah, original stuff is hard to find through search. I think even Etsy is aware of this now. This is what it sounds like. If they follow up what they were saying, this sounds like this is what they're wanting to address. Let me know in chat, guys, if you're. I came away from this feeling more positive than I have in a long time. And if
Well, I
you've
feel
been
like for
watching
once
my
I wasn't
videos,
lied to.
yeah, I think even that, it's nice. It's funny because actually, when I was doing my trend videos for the start of the year, I decided to do a trend word, like my overall word for the year, and my word, hello, and my word for the year was authentic. That was a thing. Oh, yeah, big boy.
Girl, you're fat.
Yeah, so I think 2024 should be all about authentic on
Yep.
Etsy and what we're making. Show that you're authentic and don't worry about being slick and amazing. You can be a bit handheld and a bit a bit
Well, that,
dodgy.
that's one thing that people do with photos is they try and make them so professional looking, but that's not what people
Mhm.
are looking for. They're on Etsy for handmade. They're on Etsy for that rustic feel. So if you go too professional, you might even see a drop in sales. Even though the photos look better, they might not look handmade. So you might be passed over as, oh, it's just another one of those mass produced shops. So showing handmade feel in your other photos, showing handmade, like it's an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes. I mean,
with sticker shops,
there's a balance.
with a lot of sticker shops, you'll just see a sticker on a flat plane, and it it feels like it's just digital. Even if it's a real photo
Mhm.
of it, it still just seems like it's a digital rendering. Versus if you have a hand in there, if you have tools in there, if you have something to show that the sticker's a real sticker, then
Yeah.
you are more likely to get attention, to
Like
stand out.
if anyone's on TikTok, if you're looking on TikTok, some of the biggest like Etsy shops on TikTok are things like sticker shops that she walks around with her phone, goes, "Hey, I made this. Look at it," and it's awful filming, but you're like, it's absolutely real.
Yep. People love it because it's real.
hmm And it's the crazy thing, like if you're doing screenshots of something on your computer, you can absolutely do screenshots on your phone and stuff. But no, people are just holding their phone up to their computer. And I'm just like, wow, we're in a different world.
Yep. And
Why did I learn how
she
to
is
edit?
not she is not a typical orange cat. She is actually very calm and just fat. And she just loves attention and love, and that's it. She loves cuddles. My other one, I have a little gray cat. He's wild, but she's nice and calm.
Is orange in cats the same as orange in spaniels? Generally,
Probably,
they're
yeah.
nutters. The red ones are nutters.
Red hair, anything is just nutters. So all you redheads out there, you're crazy. You're just crazy.
Absolutely. You know, the most concentration of redheads is in Scotland, so I agree with that.
Are you originally a redhead?
Strawberry
You don't even remember at
blondish,
this
yeah.
point.
No, I've not seen. I have no idea what my real hair color is. The last time I had natural hair color, I was 17.
So like 6 or 7 years ago. That's not that bad.
Absolutely. You can come back, yeah. Oh, speaking of, I really should let you go because we could literally sit here all night. But
For you, it's night.
yeah.
For me, it's only 5:30 p.m. Like I got plenty of time.
Yeah, it's nearly 11 here, but hey, that's like 5:30 my time. Really.
Hopefully, everyone
But
learned
yeah,
something and has some hope.
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I've been doing so many like negative videos lately, so I hope everyone feels a bit better. I definitely do. I'm quietly confident. I don't want to be too hopeful.
Well, I think that's the
But
big problem is usually these presentations are full of hope and full of like it's big and bolstering, and then it just falls flat. And it's like, well, now you're lying to us because we see the reality. I think this is kind of the first time that they've been realistic and shown the reality, and it makes a huge difference.
yeah, it's funny how easy it is if someone just says, "Yeah, everything's bad." And we're like, "Excellent. I know it's
Everything's
bad,
bad, and now there's actual hope. Versus if
yeah,
everything's amazing, then there's no hope.
yeah." I hate business speak. I always have, where people just stand up and brag and it's going to be the best ever. And you're like, no, tell me it's difficult. Tell me it sucks. Yeah.
If every quarter is going to be the best quarter ever, then why hasn't it been the best quarter ever?
Exactly.
Now they're
Yeah.
finally being realistic. So yay, positive.
I think we're just weird, but that's cool. Yeah.
Definitely would
Okay,
not
well,
deny the weird.
but thank you everyone for joining us, and especially is that side. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. It makes this stream so much easier. There is a link to his YouTube down below, or Making Etsy Make Sense on Facebook. Yeah, if you want to check him out, which you absolutely should. But yeah, thank you everybody, and catch you next time.
Bye everyone.